As you can see, this is my face. Hopefully, this time around, also you'll be able to talk to me and I'll be able to talk to you. I've been reliably informed that last stream that I did went really well, i.e. didn't go well at all. That's okay. It's all a bit of a process, isn't it? What I'm going to try doing is I'm going to try flipping this thing around. And this time around, I am reasonably certain that people will actually be able to talk to me. Now, late, and what I've discovered is that I'm okay with late streams and stuff that won't necessarily go to a larger audience, because at the very least I have to clean up my workbench, and it's actually been quite good for my workflow. So even a zero audience live stream, or a live stream which by all accounts you couldn't see anything, even one of those live streams actually still has benefits for me. So I'm quite enjoying this. I'm just putting away a drill bit that I found because, you know, got to practice what you preach. No, that's gone into the water. Who cares? All right, I'll show you. There are a few little improvements that have happened since the last time you've probably seen the live stream. The first improvement is a pretty obvious one, the fact that you can probably talk to me. Just putting these away. I thought I would show you a few things that I've got going on here. You're going to have to be very quiet because the birds are pretty much asleep. I'm going to flip this around. I'm going to show you Loki and Max and a few other things just before we get started. Flip, flip, flip. There we go. All right, so here's the workbench. I haven't put some away. I've gotten this guy out again just in case I want to use this fella, because apparently no one could see me. That's all right. But I thought, seeing that there are birds in this channel, I'd introduce you to Pony. Hello, Pony. Hello, Loki. There you go. Hello, Loki. You want to scratch? Yeah. Now, if I want to lose a finger, I'll do the same with Max. Max, do you want to scratch? It's not that Max doesn't like me. Max genuinely doesn't like me. That's okay. But he definitely doesn't like the camera. Now, here's a bit of a workspace which I've completely messed up. This is where I do some of my unboxings and whatever else. But at the moment, and don't worry, I haven't developed a sudden obsession with fossils. I've always been obsessed with fossils. But the difference is that I go regularly to Newcastle now, and I actually have a location near to where I stay in Newcastle, which is just absolutely filled with fossils. So this little thing here is a little behemoth that I've constructed. I actually broke it apart, and there's actually a video that will be released on it. But basically, if you take this off, you can see the fossils underneath there, and we can just keep going. This is like the world's hardest jigsaw puzzle that I just put back together. You can see here, this is most likely the fossilized remains of a horsetail fern, which is about 300 million years old. But that will be the subject of another video. I might just do a short of me just pulling it all apart, and then I'll give people the option of doing the long version. Christmas has happened. That was my children's. Okay, back out we go. So what are we doing today? I thought I would deal with some of the Cooper Pedy stuff. Oh, I've changed my phone, so I've had to put this little attachment onto my posterity observation platform. That's just to make it so that the camera aims at the right spot. I've also put a drop guard. Well, it's a very it's a pretty ambitious name for it, drop guard. It's basically, well, you can figure out what it is. It's an ice cream container. So, but now it's pretty much in the center, presuming that my zoom function doesn't completely ruin things. Look at that. Stop doing that, zoom. There we go. Zoom in, not hugely, just zoom in a little. Oh, for the love of Mike, what are you doing? A little bit less. Well, things work so well in rehearsal. That's good enough. Okay, so it always seems that something will go wrong in the live stream, isn't there? Okay, so I've got two opals here, which I'm fairly interested in. This is a crystal opal from Cooper Pedy. I managed to get it really cheap off the opal auction site. I was very happy with this because, quite frankly, it's a smasher. And if you have a look at the potch/sandstone on the back, it's not quite white. So that means that this color here that's sitting here will actually pop through, presuming I get it right. Here's another thing from the same vendor. This one I think will actually go well as well. I know. What kind of confidence do I have in that? Move this back a bit so that you can see some color. You can just see the color poking through. I'm going to turn on the chat section to see if the chat actually works at all. Live chat. Almost. Okay, I presume all messages are visible. I will definitely get a message in the morning if it's not. I can certainly see the screen. This time around, if there are no messages going through, it's YouTube's fault. That's my story and I'm sticking to it. Although it does concern me a bit. Let me just tap. It says all messages are visible. Okay. Don't know what went wrong last time. Okay, so what was I going to do? Okay, mostly opal cutting, obviously, but I've got a little packet here, and I was fairly selective. I've got 2 packets just to make sure of it, because there is some opals in here which allow me to cross my expertise as a soil scientist and my hobby as an opal cutter. Make sure you don't get the two mixed up. My hobby is opal cutting, so, you know, sometimes my guess is as good as yours. My expertise is in soil science, and as far as I know, there's not many of them around, so I'm presuming I'm the expert. That's kind of why I did the degree in the first place. So let me have a look. So we have this material here, and this is special to me because you can actually see some of the red material that some people will be fairly familiar with from Cooper Pedy. You can pull an opal out of some oxidized material. Just so you know, red means that the drainage is good. Grey, or the actual technical colour is gley, which is kind of a greyish colour, sort of bluey grey. That means that the drainage is appalling. And what I have noticed is that as a general rule, you always seem to find the opals in areas which have got pretty good drainage. Is that a hint? I don't know. Haven't been studying it for long enough. Here is something else that's interesting, and we might get into this when we do the opal cutting. You can see that there's actually some, what I would be calling siltstone or mudstone sitting there. And there is also the red sandstone sitting there. To me, the particle size is an awful lot different. So that tells me when we're thinking about the kind of environment that this thing was originally deposited in, we know that it's Cooper Pedy, so it was an oceanic environment. But what I can tell from this now is that you can see some coarse grains and then some finer grains over here. That means that there's something called upward fining. And the other thing is, because of the two different colors and the two drastically different textures, I'm pretty certain that we've got two different depositional environments. So I reckon what happened in Cooper Pedy was, and it's only a theory, was that the material was with all the opals and shells and whatever else sitting around there. And then it got all washed up again, and then it got laid down a second time, because I think that this material is on a different orientation to this material. As we cut it, I'll be able to do something called a hand texture. That's why I'm picking these guys. So I'll be able to tell you what the silt and sand content is roughly in each of the stones as we go through it. As an aside, there's a really brilliant flash of color there, so I'm really excited about this one. This one here, I'm deeply, deeply, deeply suspicious that this is actually a section of belemnite. I'm looking here, you can see the characteristic lines just sitting there, and I reckon someone has just rubbed this back here so you can't see some of the belemnite because of that. But that looks very belemnite-y. It could just be a rock, but I reckon it's a belemnite. Or maybe I've just got fossils on the brain, you never know. Here's the next packet of rough, much smaller packet. I think it's about 70 carats. I'm obviously not going to get through all of this tonight, probably only going to do one or two. But check this one out. This one really is exciting me because I can see some material in here, which I'll be able to texture, I'm pretty certain. As an aside, there's once again lines there. Could this be shell opal? I don't know. Possibly is. That kind of suspiciously looks like a clamshell to me, but you know, I'm more interested in the sediment deposits at the moment. This one here, that's just straight out white, and I can even feel the texture. That's just straight out sandstone. But once again, you can see this material here. That's a siltstone, so that means that we've got sand, we've got silt. So I'm presuming that the material was deposited this way, and then essentially, it's either a turbidite or not a turbidite, an undersea flow, or even a meander bend at the very end of an estuary, in which something called upward fining has occurred. In which case, you get the coarser grains at the bottom, and then as the river or the estuary moves to a less energy environment, so the river literally moves, or the flow literally moves to the right or to the left. You've seen meanders, they move around the landscape. As that happens, the type of material that's deposited changes. So you get coarse material, and then as you move out of the main flow, the material gets finer and finer, and that's called upward fining, and that's evidence of change of flow. Here we go again. We've got some red material here. That won't give me very much, but I'm certainly hopeful it'll give me a nice opal. Here's some other ones. This one here is here for opal reasons, not for scientific reasons. I could see some flashes in, I had to look away from the camera. If you have a look just in here, you can just see some flashes of color. I'm just trying to get it to the right kind of angle for you. If we get to this one, it'll be a miracle, but it's a good one. Here is another opal. I think there's not much in it except for the fact that I might do this one first, just because, can you see that wedge of sand? I suspect this is another shell fossil, by the way. What I'll do is I'll literally cut between it, and we'll see what that sand actually feels like. I'm anxious to get into the textures. I don't see much opalescence, so I'm having a look now. There's a little bit of blue showing through at this part here. I'm not sure you'll be able to see it. It's not doing very well at all. I'll try that now. You can see it just a little bit. That's all right. I'll be needing the light to cut it, so we'll have to deal with the colors later. This one, color everywhere. Also, it's a little bit different colored substrate. Slightly grey potch. Beautiful stone, that. Once again, it's got that cut through. So I think that there's a good chance that all of this is shell fossil, but who knows? The fragments are just too small to really make a positive identification unless you're one of those real amazing paleontologist Shelley kind of people. All right, so it will be a relatively short session, but what I'll do is I'll just cut through this just to get a ranging shot as to what the textures are like. I'll tell you what I'm finding. Welcome to the new setup with the catcher or ice cream bucket, whatever you want to call it. I'm always improvising. I like that, but Frankenstein's monster has started. It is lurching towards the village. Let's go for it. I'll also turn on my fan. That might make me sound like a Dalek, and I do apologise for that. So that is very, very, very fine sand. An American would classify it as sand, an Australian would classify it as silt. Is there any change to that? Okay, we've got very fine sand all the way through it. What I might just do is I will finish the cut, have a look how far I've got through before the sand ran out. May as well finish the cut off, but I'll angle it a little bit so that we've got some material to work with. Quote Star Wars, our first catch of the day. So this first. You can look at it through the lens, simultaneously through my eyes. Wow, really thin. I'll just shade it down, get the sand off it. Very, very thin. That's alright, because I came prepared. In case you're interested, I've also changed the blade over here. So, if you remember the last time someone asked about what I was using, that's what, immediately after that stream I changed the blade and now I've changed it again. So, roughly 3 weeks to a month. But I also came prepared. I have a chunk of black polish, so if I just set the top, that would look double it looks like. Well, pretty unimpressive from the looks of things. Yep, it would be a very boring double. So that piece is going into the waste bucket, I reckon. Let me just clean up this section and see what we've got left. I suspect that there's a patch of sand there. I think that sand goes all the way through. Yes, it does. So I'm going to have to cut it there. There's the tiniest piece of opal just down there. It's precious. We'll see what that does. Bearing in mind I cut this for scientific reasons, not really for good opal reasons, so I'm not that disappointed. There's a bit of opalescence going on here, despite what you're seeing on the camera. Getting very thin. I expected that to happen. What I'll do is I'll do the same trick with the punch. That's the only piece of opal that we're getting. Yeah, you can get a bit of a double. Not much. So yeah, do not adjust your set. Yeah, do not adjust your set. It's that bad anyway. So that's going to go into the bucket. It's that bad anyway. So that's going to go into the bucket. Have a look through this piece and see what we've got. Don't think we've got much there. I stand corrected, sorry about this. Around the section that I was cutting, investigating for other reasons. So it's the other side to what I'm doing at the moment. suspect the one that's different is my daughter. So I've got the third one. The moment the wheel went on, went silent. She hates the sound of the Intriguingly, this new Dremel blade and Kiddy Opal should have combined and made a big profit for me. It hasn't. Nothing seems to be snapping off. Good. But this baby's like this. Have a little bit snapping off there. Around the sides. Okay. Got what I'm doing there, and I can move that to the sander. All of those bits at the moment are productive opals, so it's pretty good. Nicely got that piece of opals that have been going there for some bit, and we shall now move to the money shop. So, it's this one here. This guy. That definitely looks like a sandstone, but what I can see here, that is actually a bit of precious opal. I can see a little bit of colour showing through. It's very thin. Naturally, the best piece of opal is this one here. But there is some kind of tenuous connection between this kind of lumpy art and this section. What I might have to do is just cut along that ridge there. First I'll cut along this sand line. Hopefully I'm accurate. Info. I've got two fragments there that will go into the pile. So that's a very nice piece of opal, just like that. What I think I can do though is, instead of just grinding it away, I'll just cut fragments off. That'll make a very thin opal there, and this one with the main body. I might keep the triangle. I don't normally keep the triangle. It normally ends up as an oval or a circle. This time I might keep it. You never know. So I'll maintain the angle. That way we'll maintain the pattern. It limits the directions that it goes now, so it's much easier to catch it and find it. There we go, we got a nice little triangle. I don't think I'm going to do that much more with it. I will smooth it up a bit. What is the one we have? Can you see that? At the very bottom, there's some red. Do I want to cut through all of that beautiful crystal just on the chance that that'll turn red? To help with my decision, I will grind this corner like this just a little bit. I think that the red only happens just down there. I think it's not worth it. Touch and go with the spots in the back. Sand in the pot, I don't like that. I reckon the sand is just too different from the silica. I know it's made from silicon, but I don't trust it. Put leaf sand in there, I reckon it stresses the open too much. More like instant material would do it, I think. How close is meant to be to script video on that? Close enough, I think. So I will pick this up a bit. Back around a bit, but I reckon it's pretty much ready for the job. Just try and straighten out the top of the back, and then I'll work out all the other stuff inside. I realised somewhat belatedly that some people consider it a point of pride to be able to cut the opal without needing a dot stick. That's good. Good skill to have just to turn out the box. But why wouldn't you just increase your chances of success by just using whatever equipment is appropriate? World War I, they had a doctrine called the Victor Volta, which is how to fly a plane. No one's really done it before. Maybe we should have the Victor propeller. still love a bit of Christmas crystal. I'll stick that on the top. Not now. We'll get the other one done, and I think that'll be our stream because it's getting really late. I don't know where everyone's from, but I'm from Australia, Sydney time. It is past midnight. This is my second piece of opal that came from the same packet as the piece of crystal. I am really concerned that I am going to go way too far with this one and smash it up. It's feeling very good. Just put my shield down. Didn't realise it was up. What I'm doing is a few ranging shots here, finding out where the plug needs to go. So keeping my powder dry, so to speak, carving over one side so that if it ends up suddenly changing orientation and the other person's going in this way, I'll just be able to nip it off and then I'll have it overloaded up. So it looks like it's a piece home. There's this piece of opal just here that makes it. Okay, we're moving the opal now. Well, we'll just cut it off the one. Okay, so the opal essence is there now. So the opal essence is just sitting in the corner. I'm wondering if it's going to stand out when you start. Just above that, what is like a glow touch? Not a glow touch. I think, however, we may have to take it off. Now that's that. Trying to show you. Let's see a bit of the opal essence. very glad that I did that tonight because there's actually a couple of songs. Yeah, no, really good. Sand, nothing helps cause. Yeah, all we have to do is get through that sand/potch layer. It's actually silky. If worst comes to worst, I can usually make a stone out of this side. Quite a lot. So we'll see if we can actually get enough to get inside. Yeah, the fire's starting to show through here, so I can tell I'm having trouble. sacrifice the pressure babies, but you know, good. Doing a bit of pressure taking the last one. And trying to get everything out. Alright, fine. Okay. Okay. Here we have our cat. Good sounding here, but I'll get that out later. And with that, I will drop you a leaf. Been a fun stream. You got to see a fossil, a parrot, and an opal. And you got to see a cab. So with that, I will bid you all good night and adieu, and all of the things that you're supposed to bid people. Dr. Phil out.